It's officially official. Roman Kantserov is a Chicago Blackhawk. We're talking about it next on CHGO Blackhawks. Happy Thursday. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks podcast. Hope you're having a great day. It is beautiful outside, at least in Chicago, and that's where we are, and that's where probably most of you are. So when we're done here in about 59 minutes, go outside and enjoy the weather and celebrate the Roman Kantserov signing. It happened today, a 3-year deal. He is here. He is signed, sealed, and delivered, and we've been speculating about it, but now that it's official, we can dive in a little bit more. This is another big piece to the Blackhawks puzzle. And now we just kind of had to figure out, as we've been doing all along, like, where do these guys slot? I'm really excited about what Roman Kantserov could bring to this team, though.
Yeah, I'm really happy that this is done. It's official.
Yeah.
As we kind of closed the book on the season, from the media side of things, topic of Roman Kantserov came up a few times, whether it was Kyle Davidson or Jeff Blashill talking about him. They talked about him as if he was in the plans for the future for next season. And then, watching him in the playoffs, team gets eliminated. His contract is terminated. He says goodbye on Instagram to his home team and all that. And then there's some reports that he's going to sign. Now it's all official. I'm glad it didn't drag. Like, it wasn't like, oh, his contract's been terminated, then we get into June and July, and it's just like, okay, is he officially going to sign? Like, well, what's going on here? There really was no need to drag any of that out because he wasn't in a spot where he could really negotiate like a contract. It's the entry-level deal. That's a rookie deal. Like
1.075.
Yeah, he's not out of that age range where you can kind of do that stuff. So it really just needed to be signed and get it done early. You go into the draft season, you go into free agency knowing that this guy's going to be part of the team. And that allows him to go to the Maldives today, which he did if you followed him on Instagram and saw that on his story, which good way to celebrate it. Great. This is a great addition. I know expectations are high. We talked about it this week. I raise my hand that I have high expectations for him. I think this is not a typical NHL rookie. He'll be 22 when the season starts. He's played 3 years of professional hockey in Russia. He's taken positive steps each year that he's played professionally. He's won a championship in the KHL. He's led the league in goals this season. He outperformed Kirill Kaprizov as the best U21 player in the KHL at this stage in their comparable careers. And he's come into a group where the opportunity absolutely is there to have him start the season playing on Connor Bedard's wing or playing on Anton Frondel's wing or Frank Nazar's wing. Whoever's playing that center spot.
Stenberg, maybe.
Could be Stenberg. Could be Oliver Moore. Like they got a ton of center options that they could go with, but I think you're going to match him up with a guy that is going to, whoever it is, it's going to be exciting to watch how they play off of each other. And I think you're adding a guy who obviously can score and doesn't feel like he is only coming in to only be a goal scorer. Like, I think there's a lot of his game that still can develop and obviously will develop once he gets to the NHL.
What's encouraging too is, over the last, couple weeks, couple days, I've been trying to watch as much film on Kantserov as I can, and I don't have KHL TV, not available on ESPN Plus just yet. But you're trying to do your due diligence as best you can, And what stood out to me is, look, the offensive numbers are great. 36 goals, 20 assists, 64 points in 63 games. That's wonderful. This is a guy who is engaged in all areas of the ice. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the stuff I saw, and I think we're going to link one of these videos that Elite Prospects did about a month ago in the comments once the show is over, so you can check that out later. He's engaged everywhere. I don't think there's going to be a huge defensive adjustment the way we saw with Connor Bedard having to figure out how to defend and be responsible at the NHL level. There will be a slight adjustment.
There will be an adjustment, yeah.
But that part of his game is there. Those defensive instincts, those forechecking instincts, those back-checking instincts, all the things you need to do to create opportunities for your teammates are there. And you'll see in this video in particular, we're going to send that, oh my God, his teammates are making bad decisions left and right, and he's kind of doing everything he can to overcome those mistakes and overcome those misreads. But I think that this is a guy that Jeff Blashill is going to love right away, right? I think we're talking about an Oliver Moore level of defensive commitment to play, potentially down the road, maybe even a penalty killer. Like, he's that responsible defensively, and then plus you add in the offense. So if the part that usually is the hardest thing to ingrain in a young player is already there, or is at least, let's say, 65% developed, mm-hmm. then the offense comes a little bit easier for him because it's just instinctual at that point. And that's what excites me about Kantserov, is he just really feels like kind of a plug-and-play guy. Yeah, the offense, I think, will go up year after year after year, but he's a guy you can put in there and trust right away. And when you show that to Jeff Blashill, he puts you in situations mm-hmm. to succeed, to thrive. He's not afraid to put a young player in the top 6 or the top 3.
Yeah, and I think, having that in mind with Blashill, like we saw it with when Frondell came over. He was thrown right into the top 6. Yeah. They threw him right into the fire with, responsibilities and the ice time and everything. Like, I definitely feel like that's going to be, and Kantserov gets a whole training camp, a whole preseason to kind of run up to, get an idea of the speed of the NHL game, the smaller ice that they play on in the NHL than compared to the KHL. Like, he'll have a little bit of that adjustment period before being thrown into the fire of the NHL season. He'll have a couple preseason games. And I think that'll be really beneficial for him to kind of have that adjustment period. And I mean, the speed of the game, the way that you process it at a young age, we're seeing guys like Nazar and Oliver Moore and even Bedard have gone through that in years 2 and years 3 for some of those guys, like processing the game and being able to kind of know exactly where to be on the defensive side of things. It doesn't just overnight click. And I will say, even though he's, played professionally, the KHL, the way that, leagues have kind of developed over the last couple of years and the talent that's, spread across the world. Yeah. It's not the league it used to be. But as far as like being able to still have a guy be ready to go for the physical demands, the pace demands of the professional game, like having him step in right away, I think there will be less of a learning curve than making a jump from, Canadian juniors or the NCAA or anything like that to the NHL.
One thing I'm curious about is on that like defensive front and moving from the smaller ice to the bigger ice. I wonder if that makes a defensive adjustment easier because there's less ice to cover. I think offensively it's clearly an adjustment because there's not as much open space to operate.
Yeah.
But defensively, if you got to get on a guy, it takes less time to do so. Maybe it's something that we could talk to Ilya Mikheyev. He talks, right?
Yes.
He says words?
He can, yes.
Words come out of his mouth?
He's talked before.
Maybe it's something we could ask him in camp and say, like, what? Like, a lot of people talk about the jump from big ice to small ice offensively. What does it do defensively? Because, it will be an adjustment for sure. This, by the way, from Scott Powers, who wrote about the Kantserov signing today for The Athletic. Kantserov's development has exceeded the Blackhawks' expectations. They thought he had a chance to be great, but not like this. Time will tell what he does in the NHL, but he could be a key top 6 player for years to come. The plan is to put him in the NHL immediately with a prime spot in the lineup. Kantserov, whose contract includes every bonus opportunity possible in an entry-level contract, won't be seeing time with AHL Rockford. He is here.
Yeah, for sure.
He is. It is the same as a free agent signing. And I know it might not feel
kind
like
of,
that.
Yeah.
Because you don't say, well, last year for, Boston, this guy had 60 points, and you know that's going to translate right away. But man, Hawks fans should be really excited about this. Really excited about this.
Yeah.
Like, it's a guy that I kind of was more like, let's see what happens, until I heard Jeff Blashill talking about him at the end of the year. Jeff Blashill was like, let's start next season already, because I know these young guys are going to be here. And specifically it is so out of character, as you mentioned, for a guy to talk about a prospect that hasn't signed yet, that hasn't committed to the organization yet, is like, oh man, I can't wait to get this guy here. Like, this is so enticing. And Jeff Blashill watched a ton of film on him, has scouts giving him info, right? Like, he knows that this is going to be a big thing coming forward, and it's definitely something to be excited about. And so I think, like, if the very Kyle Davidson-y offseason happens again, where he just sort of tinkers around the edges and brings in maybe a PTO here or there to see what happens, don't make it should not feel like a zero offseason, because this is an ad. I think you could probably count Anton Frondell as an ad too, even though he played a little bit last year. And those are offensively, before the draft, your top 2 offensive prospects.
Yeah, that haven't been here for much of a long time at all.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, absolutely. Like, those, you're talking about guys that, as we look at Scott Wheeler's list, you look at McKean's hockey. We were talking about it before the show. They just put out their prospect pool ranking lists. Blackhawks were number 1. Kantserov and Frondell are top 5 on both of those guys, individual player lists. And like, these are 2 players that are constantly talked about in the conversation of, best U23 prospects in the NHL or NHL drafted and all that. Like, these are guys that everyone around the league is paying attention to and they are of note. So it's not just we're not just excited because it's a Blackhawks guy. Like, it's a guy that around the league someone would look at and say, oh, they just signed the 21-year-old KHL leader in goals. That's significant.
Yeah.
So,
by the way, good point from Brian King. Tom Curvers is in Chicago this year, right? Yes, it is. The Tom Curvers Prospect Showcase is in Chicago.
It's going to be at the new rink at the Blackhawk Ice Center.
So you'll be able to watch Roman Kantserov theoretically play in that game? I would think so.
Yeah, probably.
He'll probably want to.
Kantserov. Well, here's the double-edged sword. Do you play your young guys in that tournament to, kind of have them play in the with the Frondell and like play those guys there, or do you keep them away from the AHL plugs that might want to make a name for themselves by taking out a player like that, or taking a elbow or a liberty? And it's, I mean, we've seen that happen before. We've seen Kirby Doc play in that tournament and get hurt. We've seen Lucas Reichel play in that tournament and get hurt. We've seen Bedard played, and they only had him play 1 game.
Yeah.
So, like,
I think
maybe they do play him, but I don't think it's going to be like, here, go play all 3 games. Like, it might be a little bit of a tempered deployment.
That will happen in the second week of September. Is usually when that occurs. So
yeah, that's after they do the off-ice prospect camp, and it leads into training camp.
That's right after the draft.
Yeah, usually. Camp. Yeah.
So, all right, we're gonna hit the break zone for the first time. We've not asked for likes yet, and you've already hit the like button many times, so we could use many more likes. We'd appreciate that too.
Keep it going.
Hit that for us, and we'll be back in a few minutes on CHGO Blackhawks. Our friends at Sunnyside Dispensary are here to elevate your baseball season. Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free shopping. They've got a huge selection of products with over 100 different strains to choose from at any given time, with easy online ordering and in-store pickup. So wherever you are in Illinois, Sunnyside has a location for you. Yep, they're in the city. Yep, they're in the burbs. As far south as Champaign, as far north as South Beloit. So stop in the store nearest you for expert guidance from their staff. Head to their website for only the best under the sun, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Hear that again, 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Use our code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Sunnyside Dispensary, only the best under the sun. This offer is for 21 plus only or Illinois MedCard holders.
Been seeing a lot of college football players committing to universities online recently, so it must be that time of year. You'll see on our table here a Penn State hat from our friends at Branded Bills. So this will be my official commitment to Penn State football. So, yeah, there you go. Make a big deal out of that. This is a Branded Bills hat, and whether you need snapbacks, truckers, fitted hats, beanies, or T-shirts, Branded Bills has you covered with performance and style. If you're looking for some gear to make your brand stand apart from the crowd, Branded Bills has you covered with the best custom headwear. Start your order, and their dedicated team will help you create the exact custom apparel you need. And they have a partnership with 40 colleges, including 10 Big Ten schools. That's how many there used to be. Now there's 20. Head to brandedbills.com and use the code BBCHGO, and you're going to get 15% off your first order. Again, that's brandedbills.com with the code BBCHGO.
All right, we're back on CHGO Blackhawks. We were talking about Jeff Blashill.
I've decommitted from Penn State.
Yes, that was quick. Talking about Roman Kantserov at the end of the year. Here's the quote. He was actually asked about Kantserov and Frondell. He said, those are guys who I wanted to see if they can have an immediate impact next season. I felt strongly and still feel strongly that both can. When I've watched Kantserov, he's very high intelligence, very good with the puck, very accountable defensively as well. He's a guy I think can make an immediate impact if he chooses to come over. He has chosen to come over.
Which he is doing.
And here we are.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. I mean, we talk about, like, you know, we did the show about if they do nothing. This is still something. This counts as something. This is still something that you didn't really have banked going forward. It's, you know, nothing's done until it's done, but definitely a guy that I think is going to play in the top 6. And you know, I do have high expectations. I think this guy. I think Kantserov can step in and score 20. We saw Nick Lardis, who, you know, a rookie, younger, coming from the OHL into the professional ranks, have 10 goals in 41 games. That is a 20-goal pace over a full NHL season. I think Roman Kantserov, who put up 36 in the KHL, can have a little bit of that translate to the NHL. I feel like this is a guy that can score 20 goals, that can have 50 points at least, and be able to make that kind of impact immediately for this group and for a team that was offensively starved last year, for the most part, outside of Connor Bedard and Tyler Bertuzzi. Like, adding someone like that is going to be a big improvement to this group. Someone that can control the puck more offensively, that's going to help you control the game more, play less defense. Like, that's a big deal.
Looking back at the 2023 draft, this is going to be one that defines Kyle Davidson for a long time. Connor Bedard, Oliver Moore, Adam Guyan, Roman Kantserov, Martin Miziak was 55th. Nick Lardis was 67th. Yuri Felkman, who is in Rockford, and looked pretty good in that game. He played one game, two games,
whatever he played a few games, and I think he had 1 assist. But like his first game, he was like all over the place.
Yeah, 2 assists, and he played 7 games. But yeah, he just looked really good. And then there's, you know, that's not it, but like those are the ones you kind of project as probably making the Hawks. Marcel, it was a good run.
Well, and
scary Milton Oscarson.
Yes, the Bond villain. You know, Tab Bamford of Bleacher Nation pointed it out that of 38 draft picks that Kyle Davidson has made, they've signed 20 of them already. Like, again, I continue to go back to when we talk about these grand ideas of the rebuild and the vision and the plan and, you know, all these different moves that Kyle Davidson can make. Like, a lot of it is coming from internal moves, and it's drafting guys and building from literally the farm system up. And not all these guys are going to be hits. Not all of them are going to be NHLers with the Blackhawks for their entire careers or their primes or whatever, but he's moving forward with the focus of like the belief in the players that they're drafting, and these are the ones that they're going to build with. And then once it's time, you can move some of them around to make some additions or what have you. But it is. I'll give credit to Davidson that like he has stuck with that plan, because we've seen a lot of teams and a lot of organizations go with a plan, and either at the first sign of success or first sign of adversity, they pull the plug and they go in a different direction, or they make panic moves. And he's stuck with the path. Now it's taken longer than a lot of people probably have some patience for, but at least it is a direction. And I think, adding Kantserov, we still got to see what he does in the NHL. But the expectations, and I think all the signs point to, this is going to be a guy that's going to be an impact player.
Somebody brought up to me online, you're talking about like just developing from within. The Ottawa Senators, that's a team that's pretty homegrown when you think about it. Like Stützle, Kachuk, Batherson was theirs, right?
Yeah,
Shane Pinto was theirs.
Sanderson, Shabbat, I believe. Yeah, I mean, it's what's the defenseman? Yakimchuk?
Yeah, yep.
Like he's a good player. He's going to be part of that future as well. And yeah, like through the draft, like more teams are focusing on that, and you look at how free agency is changing with the landscape of the NHL, how the trade market will be impacted. Like a lot of teams are probably looking at like, if we don't want to have to get crazy with trades or, dig in the free agent barrel and say this guy who should be a third line center is going to be our big free agent addition, he's going to play top 6 minutes or whatever. Like, you're overreaching on free agents. You're gonna have to go through the draft and like develop your players and like build that way, because that's gonna be the easiest route to get talent, is to draft it and develop it rather than having to go and find it in other ways. So I think some teams are gonna find out that they're behind the 8 ball in that regard, and hopefully all signs point to the Blackhawks being ahead of the curve in being able to do that and have like we just mentioned, like the number 1 prospect pool, have it turn into a competitive NHL team and a team that we all hope is in the playoffs and competing for Stanley Cups.
I think the people that are not super confident what the Hawks are doing, it's just because there is just a lot still to be developed or to really show that level of stardom beyond Connor Bedard, right? I think there's a lot of, this guy could be this and this guy could be this and could be this. I think with Frondell especially, and I think to a slightly lesser extent Kantserov, I think you're getting an injection of legitimate talent immediately. And I think once next season starts, and if Frondell continues to play the way he finished last season, which why wouldn't he, right? Mm-hmm. And Kantserov comes in and is a pretty smooth transition, people are going to start getting really excited about what's happening here, because you're also going to have whoever they drafted for this year. Right. And that's going to be either on the team or in the pipeline too.
Could be anybody.
I really feel like the first month of next season could really set this bandwagon on fire in a good way.
I hope so.
Of people saying, "Oh, now I see."
I mean, they got off to a hot start last year.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, including ourselves, were very excited about what that could signal. And, it's a long season, but I think even more so with how young this team will be and how many guys that we've been talking about for, a couple of years now that will be in the pro system and playing in the NHL, like that'll get that excitement ramped up.
Do we have a couple super chats we got to get to, Chloe? You have a few things favorited I wanted to see. Yes. Skid Mark III has one we'll get to in a little bit here. But James says, is Kantserov a right wing? Yes, he is.
Yes.
he also played some center in the KHL for what that's worth. I don't imagine that being the case here, but it's good to know he has that ability. But he's one of those off wing right wingers, a left hand shot from the right wing side. I like that from an offensive minded person, offensive minded player.
Yeah.
To be on the forehand more often than not. I've never played in the NHL, at least not yet. But when I have played hockey, I always prefer, I'm left-handed. I always prefer being on the right side just because I just feel more in control of what's happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As opposed to kind of like having to move my body from board to...
I mean, it's I get both ways of trying to play it. When I play forward for beer league, which is not the NHL, I prefer to be on the left side as a right shot player because I just like to be able to have my forehand more towards the play, especially in the offensive zone. Like you can kind of play off the board and kind of, I don't know. To me, like I'd prefer that to have it distribute above the goal line, but I also get like the ability to, have the boards be to your advantage. It's kind of like how they do it with defensemen. Left shot plays on the left side, right shot plays on the right side. Like using those boards to your advantage and having that be accessible to you and just being like, you don't really, if you it's easier to protect the puck playing north that way.
That's a defensive priority.
Yeah. So I get it, but I think like once you get to the professional level, besides defensemen, I think forward-handedness makes a small
big focus for defensemen,
impact.
But forwards it's not usually.
Yeah, and it, there are some times where you look at lineups and they try and avoid having all left shots on one line or all right shots on one line because you want to have a little bit of the variety with how teams will defend you, knowing what positions you can get into that are advantageous. But I just think like more so it comes down to the players and their abilities rather than just who's got their stick on the right side or the left side of their body.
Yeah, no, it's forward wise. I just always, an interesting thing, but the center part of it is interesting too, because they've got a lot of guys that can play center. I don't know if there's anyone that you're like center. Aside, I think they're doing everything they can to make sure that's what Bedard is. Yeah. And it feels like that's where he's headed and probably should head. But I think there's even questions about him there. Nazar ended the season on the first line, right wing. Frondell has played center and wing. Mm-hmm. Now you've got Kantserov center wing. Moore is a center and a wing. Donato is a center and a wing. Well, you don't have any definitive centerman.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I think you gotta figure out like where those guys, because it's not just who's winning faceoffs. It's how are they best utilized. Like what you talk about, Oliver Moore started playing on the wing and then they moved him down in the lineup to play him at center because they felt like they were going to get more out of his game playing him at center because it tweaks how he plays. And it ended up working pretty well. Like when he was playing that third line center spot, he seemed more noticeable and more impactful being that rather than being in the top six on a wing spot. And that could be the same case for a guy like Ryan Green. Like we saw him playing in the top six on the wing primarily this year. But he's looked at as like, well, he'll probably knock down into a center position. And
he goes from top line left wing to fourth line center really quick this year.
Yeah, probably, depending on who they draft or who they add. But even throwing Kantserov into there, like that's another top six wing that you throw into the equation. And Frondell, they tried at, they really wanted him to get in at center, even though everyone was like, play him with Bedard. There's really no wrong answer with either of those options because when he played center, like the defensive aspect of the game, he got acclimated to that, and that brought in a more rounded game for him rather than, just go and play with Connor Bedard, which is nice. But like if he's like a number two center and Bedard is legitimately the number one center, then you have an option with Nazar and more.
Yeah.
And if Kantserov can move around if you need him to, but if you have your centers lined up, then you can move to your wings and piecemeal things together from there. But they say it all the time, like you build down the middle. It's not just you got to be able to if you have your elite centers, then things push outwards towards the boards in the forwards group. You can figure things out from there.
All right, we are going to hit the break zone. We're not going to do just Kantserov today. We are going to move on next segment to a couple trade rumors and our buddy Skidmark III, not the first, not the second, the third.
Not Skidmark Jr.
Brings one up, and there's a couple others you should be aware of that we're in hot stove season despite the playoffs still going on. So we'll get to that next on CHGO Blackhawks. You know what time it is. It's almost summer. That means it's I lost my sunglasses season. When you leave it on the roof of your car or at the beach, or it just falls off your head as you're on your Vespa picking up some sandoozles downtown. We've all been there. Then we found Shady Rays, and it changed the game. These sunglasses are made for real life. They look great. They're polarized. They're durable, and they're not crazy expensive. They also, I feel like I see better out of them, which is weird.
It's the polarization.
I think it is polarization. And I'm Polish, so that makes sense. The best part, if you lose them or break them, even on the first day, Shady Rays will send you a brand new pair. No guilt trip, just replacements. So now you can wear your shades without fear at hikes, on concerts, on the boat, wherever. Shady Rays is eyewear that has your back. So go to shadyrays.com. Use our code CHGOSR for 40% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses.
New vehicles are in store at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, and this is your chance to score a great deal at their Declaration of Deals sales event. Head to Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram on Route 12 today to choose from their huge inventory of new Chryslers, Dodges, Jeeps, and Rams models. And right now, you can get up to $14,000 off MSRP, plus 2.9% financing for 72 months on the new 2026 Ram 1500 Crew Cab. Plus, you can shop over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000 with the team at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. They're there to help you during each step of your car shopping journey. And since they prioritize affordability, you know you won't overpay for the vehicle you need. And Ray's price promise lets you shop confidently with no add-ons and no hidden fees ever. Don't miss out on the Declaration of Deals sales event for huge savings on the Ram 1500 Crew Cab. For more information, visit Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram today on Route 12 in Fox Lake, or go online at raycdjr.com. They've been serving the community since 1963.
All right, we're back on CHGO Blackhawks, and now it is time for the big takeaway presented by Xfinity. Imagine that. The big takeaway I have today is that the NHL rumor season is intoxicated. There is a lot going on. It is always changing. Some people are talking out their asses. Some people are talking from places of education. Either way, it's all very interesting, and we're going to talk about it right now because guess whose names are back in the rumor mill today as it pertains to, well, one of them, the Blackhawks. Matthew Nyes and Jason Robertson. And if you missed our conversation yesterday with Owen Newkirk from DLLS, go check that out. He had a lot of insight on what exactly is happening with Jason Robertson. Why don't we start with that one first, Chloe? Everyone's friend, very plugged in, the man himself, Elliot Friedman, had some comments on Jason Robertson today and says, I think Jason Robertson's going to be an interesting one. I think the Stars will have a line, and I'm not convinced they'll be willing to go past that line, and then says it'll be Mikko Rantanen's number of $12 million. That's the line that Elliot Friedman thinks are setting. This from the D. Mace Vingen and Donick show from last week. So Owen was very firmly of the mind that the Stars will happily surpass Mikko Rantanen's $12 million to get Jason Robertson brought back.
Yeah.
If I'm Jim Nill, I'm saying to Jason Robertson, I'm paying you as much as him. Right? Like, can you justify paying him more than Mikko Rantanen? Sure, he outperformed him statistically, but Mikko Rantanen is that proven playoff performer. He's won a cup. He's been awesome in the playoffs every year. And I think the sell you have on Robertson is, look, We want you badly here. We are well poised to contend year after year after year. Mm-hmm. You being here ensures that. But if we're going to stay in that place, we can't go much higher than this. And then I wonder, does he say if Robertson is bullish about wanting more money than that, does Dallas say, all right, let's just try to get the biggest haul we can and trade him? You know, like you saw a big trade with Matthew Tkachuk and Jonathan Huberdeau.
Yeah.
Big pieces moving every way. And I think if Dallas does choose to trade Jason Robertson, it will be for immediate help and maybe kind of like a lateral move.
It has to be.
That's what Owen said yesterday. Like, they're not looking for prospects. They're trying to win the cup. So,
yeah, I mean, he pointed to, what the Hurricanes got to, or what the Avalanche got and what the Hurricanes got, all pertaining to Rantanen and everything. And, it was Natchez and it was Stankoven and like, the Stars, if they're losing Robertson, need somebody that's going to be plug into that spot and is going to give you the similar impact, or it's not going to let you drop off. So I think, the Hawks don't have anybody like that.
Don't, before you start throwing Tyler Bertuzzi and Teuvo Teravainen into the chat.
Yeah,
that's not
going to interest them. Like like Owen said, it would need to be like basically Bedard, and Hawks aren't doing that.
No.
So yeah, I mean, I just come back to the idea that the Stars will figure it out. Jim Nill will be able to maneuver whatever he needs to get the deal done with Robertson. But like you're saying, like it also has to come down to Robertson being like, well, I would like $14 million. I believe I'm worth that, but if you're not going to move past 12, what are we doing? How do we make it work? How do we get to a point where I still want to be with the Stars and I still want to compete, but I'm also owed what I'm owed? I don't know.
Well, they also have the advantage of a tax-free situation, from what I understand, based on what Owen said yesterday.
Yeah.
So $12 million in Dallas is $14 million, $15 million in Chicago, or however you want to chop it up.
Sure.
So they've got that going for them too. I still don't see him moving, but Jim Nill is the kind of GM that will set a hard line and has the ability to pull off really big trades without losing a ton. Mm-hmm. Right? Like he just finds a way to get these things done and keep that team competitive. So I'm still thinking it's 95% that Jason Robertson's back, but I don't know, man. If you're Jason Robertson, where else would you want to be but Dallas?
Yeah, I mean, looking around the league, like all the top competing teams that are going to give you the same or better chance at winning the cup, they would have to drastically change their roster to fit you. Because even with the cap going up, not all these teams have $12 million in space just lying around just to use. A few teams might, but not every team. Not every team that's looked at as like the Stars were, where it was like one of the three best in the West, one of the 5 cup contenders, like legitimate top end cup contenders. There's really not many teams that are going to be able to do that. So, I don't know. I mean, he could opt to try and
just cash in.
Yeah, just try and be like, all right, I'm going out into the market, or and I know it's an RFA deal, so there's it's likely to be a sign and trade if he is moved elsewhere. But again, like it's going to be hard to kind of maneuver that, and be on a team that's going to be as competitive, because if you're trading Robertson to another team, the other team is going to have to give up 2 of their better players or their best player, or like it's going to be it's not going to be a huge improvement to their roster. Like we were kind of talking about with, the conversation with like, where could McDavid go to still compete? And it's just like, well, like if you swapped like Sebastian Aho for Connor McDavid, like, yeah, the Hurricanes aren't competing with Aho and McDavid. You're making that marginal improvement over your best player.
Those marginal improvements matter.
Sure, of course.
It's a jump from Martin Havlat to Marian Hossa, right? Like,
right.
It's a big jump. And the other thing to keep in mind here too, that is there seems to be over the last couple of days some smoke around Austin Matthews, right? And like, do they want to re-sign him? Is he where the Leafs are at, even with the first overall pick? Maybe they're looking to be like, let's just set this back 3 years and, you know, keep your young talent like Nyes, et cetera. Maybe move out Austin Matthews for a haul. But if that's your plan, you could trade Austin Matthews for Jason Robertson. That's the sort of thing we're talking. That wouldn't be 1-for-1, obviously, but like those could be the pieces of it.
Yeah.
I just think if he's moving, it's in a blockbuster deal.
Yeah. That would have to be how it's done. But again, I think eventually it just comes down to Jason Robertson staying. I think so, I still feel like that is the conclusion.
I bet the mortgage on it.
This will all be headed towards.
And then David Pagnotta added again with the Blackhawks' interest in Matthew Nyes, now saying the Hawks would give up the 4th overall pick. Plus, he says, quote, "We want to give you the 4th overall pick and this for Nyes." That's on Leafs Morning Take.
Like, I know that Kyle Davidson has inquired about Matthew Nyes before, and we know that there was interest in him this season too. I don't see the Maple Leafs being better for getting rid of Matthew Nyes if you're keeping Austin Matthews happy and around, and you're getting the number 1 pick. Like, yeah, you could add the 4th overall pick. If it's not Stenberg at number 4,
that's the thing.
It's like,
you've got to let the draft.
Who's the immediate impact? But
that's it.
If you're taking McKenna number 1, and you know Stenberg's gone before 4, whether he goes 2 or 3 or whatever. Like, if you're like, okay, we're gonna get the best defenseman we've had since basically Morgan Riley, and even that is like a stretch of like how great actually was he. But like, if you're getting like Chase Reed or Carls or Verhoff or whoever, and you're like, this is the franchise defenseman we've been missing. None of those guys are in your lineup next season.
No.
So what's the immediate help where you're missing Nyes?
And then that's it.
And then that's that again, like we were talking about with Dallas. Like, who are the Blackhawks giving up that replaces Nyes even a little bit? That's not Bedard or Frondell or all these untouchables.
If you have to add a piece, see, here's the thing, and your point's right. Like, I'm not making that trade, even if it's 4 for Nyes straight up, until I see how 1 through 3 fall. Because if Stenberg's on the board, I'm just taking Stenberg.
Yeah,
but then if he's still there at 4, that's probably who the Leafs are thinking are going to get. They're thinking they're getting McKenna and Stenberg, and that's 2 guys to help them immediately. So that's the thing. And
this is not to besmirch McKenna and Stenberg. If you're trading Nyes to get to 4, you're losing an immediate piece, a power forward, and your additions are 2 5'11", 175 pound, 180 pound wings who like I know we've had these conversations before about playoff style players and all that stuff, and that's what the Blackhawks want to add, is a Matthew Nyes who can be a power forward, who can put up numbers, and who can be that type of player that they're missing. But why would the Maple Leafs? They're not better for plucking him out for adding McKenna and Stenberg.
I wonder if that's too where Pagnotta is coming up with the plus, right? And I think a lot of people are like, well, then it would be 4 and Lardis and whoever, maybe, but it could also be 4 and Bertuzzi to help them immediately. But does that? I just don't. It's just the more we talk about this, like the less logic there is to it. For I mean, there's logic for the Hawks. Like, if it was 4 for Nyes straight up, and I had to make that call today,
I honestly probably do it.
I would probably do it straight up. I'd probably do it today
if that was all it was. But it's not.
It can't be.
Yeah.
Because
Nyes as a player, and I know I'm not really educating anybody with this, but He's 23. He's got a great contract, and he has the frame. He has the play style. He's got a little bit of, snarl in his game. Like, it all just fits exactly what they would need in their top six as like an immediate guy. So I think like that absolutely fits the timeline, fits the style, like it fits everything. I just don't know that is that worth I don't think it's worth giving up for and another pick or like Nazar or something like that, or all packaged together on top of each other. Like I don't think that that's it's worth that. I think you could find someone to fill that production slot or fill that play style in a different way. Honestly, with the Maple Leafs and where they're at right now and conversations that people are having, I forget who on NHL Rumor Report said it. Give me a second here. Chris Johnston said, I actually had someone who works for an NHL team say if we were trading right now, we would actually give up more for Matthew Knies than we would for Austin Matthews. The value of Knies is you've got 5 or 6 more years in his prime. Listen.
Austin Matthews is 28. Come on, guys. What are we doing?
If I were Kyle Davidson and John Chaika is presenting the package that it would take to get Matthew Knies, and then I say, well, what's going on with Matthews? And he presented, well, this is what it would take to get Matthews, and it was less than Knies. I will take Austin Matthews. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, he had a down year. Yes, he did.
I will take a multi-time 60-goal scorer. If it will take less than
the greatest Maple Leaf of all time.
Yeah, if it'll take less than what it would take to get Matthew Knies, sure, ho hum. I'll take Austin Matthews too. Like yeah. So I mean, listen. Toronto is ripe for conversation.
Yeah,
who knows?
They always are.
Who knows what the heck is going on with that team and winning the lottery completely threw a wrench into their plans and the ripple effect of teams that were in on not like Montreal was sniffing around. Chicago was in conversations and has been for a while. Like it's just who knows, man. It's open for interpretation and kudos to whoever runs NHL Rumor Report for listening to all the hockey podcasts that I don't have time to listen to and getting the juicy bits. But there's a lot out there right now, and it's going to take, we're still 6 weeks away from the draft, and there's still, the playoffs are still going on. So there's not really much moving and shaking going on during the playoffs.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out once we get the Stanley Cup handed out and get to the good part of the off season.
Yeah.
Transactions.
Yeah, exactly.
And trades.
That's what everybody wants anyway. It's all this filler until draft free agency. We have a super chat. Let's get to it here. This is from Doug.
What?
Says Jack Pridham is a big right winger. Where do you guys think he fits in the Hawks' future? It's hard.
I believe he's going to college next year. I think that's the path for him. Headed to Boston, I think, eventually. He was supposed to go there this past year, but then ended up staying in Kitchener. Worked out, won the OHL championship, going to be playing in the Memorial Cup, so a good decision by him. You throw him into the same conversation as like Vanacker and Spellacy and Nestrasil and like all these guys that they got good size, they got good numbers, good production. What's their two-way game like as they move up in competition? Like that's going to be an interesting piece. But if he's a middle six, third line guy at the NHL level, like if that's where he tops out at, I think that's completely fine for a guy that you found late in the third round.
Once again, too much talent.
Yeah, right.
Where are all these guys going to play? And I think that's another reason why people are so like trades somewhere, sometime.
Yeah, it's going to be eventually too full of too
what
many
was the
people.
Draft pick number? How many picks?
20 of 38 Kyle Davidson picks are signed.
Spots.
Right, yeah. So eventually when they lift the cup with 23 drafted players, not all of them are going to be able to do it. This just came across my desk.
Ooh.
According to Cam Robinson.
Yes, saw this.
Sounds like both Ivar Stenberg and Viggo Bjork will be in the lineup tomorrow for Sweden as they open the World Championships against Canada. Anton Frondell not expected to suit up.
And I texted Cam when I saw that, and I said, hey, saw your tweet about Frondell. Any idea why he's not playing? And he said, think just a healthy scratch.
Lame.
So I guess Sweden doesn't want to win.
Lame.
Again, all this to make Canada feel better and win a gold in something. Because all other opportunities have been squashed.
Can you imagine if Canada brings this super talented...
They really are bringing a super team
to the World Championships and they don't win the gold? Boy.
Oh, I can imagine it.
Boy, would that be
sounds delicious.
Sad.
All right. I'll see. I asked Cam, like, isn't that weird? So I'll see what he says back. We should talk about
it is kind of weird. So Sweden's got a pretty good team, too. So
yeah,
the fact that
fine.
Frondell is on the outside looking in sucks, but I see it.
It could also be some sort of, he was playing in those, whatever you call that, pre-World Championship thing.
Yeah.
There could be a slight injury. Who knows? Right? Like, if you're concluding that it means he sucks, you're just a stupid effing moron. Okay.
Wait, one other thing, too. I don't know if they've
Where'd you get that microphone?
Steven brought it to me.
Oh.
So now that Sidney Crosby is going to be playing at Worlds, is he going to be the captain and Macklin Celebrini
No,
isn't?
I saw this. Celebrini is staying as captain.
Interesting.
It was, I forget who tweeted it out. It might have been Drager. So who knows if it's true.
It's time to pass the torch.
But that was apparently a team-guided decision to make Celebrini captain and then also keep him as captain, even though Crosby's there. Yeah, good. Hey, that's absolutely the case. Like, that's a guy that is going to be a face of Canadian international hockey for a long time moving forward.
Yeah.
So,
well, look, if Frondell's not playing, that's fine. Keep him healthy for the NHL season that matters.
Yeah, it's not that he's gonna just.
He went from.
I don't expect him.
He went from best player in the World Juniors to scratch.
I don't
he's bad.
expect him to ride the bench the entire tournament.
Sweden has determined he's bad after being the best forward in the World Juniors and having 9 points in 12 NHL games. The determination's been made. He sucks and can't play. That's it. Speaking of sucks, can we talk about Corey Pronman's top 5 heading into the draft here?
It's a wild one.
Is Corey Pronman, is he a he doesn't strike me as an engagement farmer, but this has engagement farming written all over it. Corey Pronman's top 5 draft prospects are as follows. And this is in numerical order from 1 to 5.
Yeah.
Chase Reed, Albert Smits, Keaton Verhoff, Gavin McKenna, Ivar Stenberg. 1 through 5.
I will give Corey a little benefit of the doubt.
I won't.
His top 5 here is not how he mocked out the draft. He has McKenna going number 1 in his mock draft.
Okay.
And he's got the Blackhawks taking Ivar Stenberg. So I'm not going to jump down Corey's throat on this.
What a smart, plugged in, connected, and logical writer he is.
But yeah, I mean, I don't want to. It's kind of crazy to have McKenna at 4. If McKenna was 2 and you had Chase Reed number 1, I believe you. I could see it. At 4, from watching him in college, watching Keaton Verhoff, seeing Chase Reed, like, I'll admit, I haven't seen a bunch of Albert Smits, but I just feel like
loved him in the World Juniors.
He was great in World Juniors, and he's going to be playing for the World Championships. Like, it'd be a good time to see him. I just don't see McKenna as number 4. Like, he is top 2. At worst, he's 3rd. So I mean, I think it's a little far-fetched to have him down at 4. This is also Corey Pronman, who had Frank Nazar as the number 14 prospect
14th best Hawks
in the
prospect.
Blackhawks system, not overall, in the Blackhawks system. What was it, the year after his draft year?
I think so.
I think it was.
Yeah.
This is also a Corey Pronman who said the number 1 draft pick in the 2016 class was head and shoulders Patrick Laine over Austin Matthews. That's not a great take.
Hey, look, when you have to predict every prospect in every draft, and that's your job, there's going to be some huge misses. Of course. I get that. But this just seems a little bit like Keaton Verhoff is like, in some mocks I've seen, like out of the top 10, which that also seems a little crazy considering that he was pretty much considered second or third for the better part of the year, the hockey season. And he's had a drop off, sure. But I don't know. It just seems kind of okay. Look, he's putting his name on it, so I'll give him that.
We have another mock draft to add to the list.
Uh-oh. What do we got?
The Commission Athletique out of Quebec.
Sure. Read it all the time.
One half of that is our friend Marco D'Amico. Gavin McKenna, number 1. Chase Reed, number 2. Caleb Malhotra, number 3. Ivar Stenberg, number 4. Carson Karls, number 5.
It's 8 of 13 now have...
Keaton Verhoff, number 9, by the way.
8 of 13 have Stenberg going to the Hawks.
It's not out of the realm of possibility.
It certainly isn't.
I'll say this about the Corey's list. This draft class is not super cut and dry. I think McKenna is the top guy, but it is not the gap of Celebrini and the field. It's not the gap that
you're right. Yeah,
Bedard in the field was. It is very much open to interpretation. You could put the top 5 in a blender, and as long as McKenna's 1 or 2, I don't think you're going to be very wrong. It's his opinion. As we will get to the draft night and see how it all plays out, we'll see how teams' boards represented, best player available at that time, because all these teams are in that best player available mode, quote unquote, to best player to their own needs, to their own needs,
to what we want. Yes.
So yeah, I mean it's going to be very interesting to see how it all pans out. But yeah, I mean, hey, if Corey has his finger on the pulse of the NHL world and they think Ivar Stenberg is number 5, by all means, keep that up.
There's no one else I would listen to aside from Corey Pronman if I were a GM.
Yeah.
Aside from Kyle Davidson.
It's fascinating. I know we all wanted the Hawks to win the lottery, to control the board, and Fallen 4 stinks. But as the dust has settled, I'm very enthralled in how this is all going to play out, because there's the butterfly effect of how the draft lottery went. There feels like there's like 50,000 different ways it could go.
It certainly does. The only thing that seems certain is McKenna to Toronto. That's the only thing that feels like you can probably stamp it.
That's a pretty good certainty, but not even like a guarantee. 100%. Yeah.
No. I'm here, man. I'm here for the chaos. I think that's going to be... Trying to think of the drafts we've covered. Is this the least predictable? I would think so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the 22 draft, we started that morning with 0 first-round picks.
Right.
Walked away with 3. That was probably...
Actually, the top of that draft, too, was a little bit...
And that was the Shane Wright falling to number 4.
Yeah, that was Slavkovsky first, yeah.
So that one was put in a blender there. But yeah, I mean, 23, we all knew Bedard was 1. Carlson going 2, I think surprised some people. I think everyone was pretty set that Fantilli would be 2, and then it went Carlson.
Good pick.
The 24 draft was after Celebrini. Is it Levshinov? Is it Demidov? We've lived that. 25, it was pretty confident that it was Schaefer Misa, and then you kind of figure out where you go from there. Yeah. So this year, it basically being like, we're pretty sure who's going number 1, but beyond that, it's all up to interpretation. It's fun. I like it to be in that way.
I just want to fast forward these boring ass playoffs and get to the, like you said.
I know the best part of the best part of April to June is the speculation of what will happen.
Yeah,
it's not the playoffs.
No one in this building cares what is happening in the playoffs right now that I can think of. aside from that young lady right there in the Avalanche shirt.
And soon to be Adam Hogue when he has to wear an Avs jersey
That
on
was
the
just
Bears
a
show.
bad deal
That's a
to
bad
make
bet by him.
on.
It was, but he
his
made
I
it.
enjoyed your. So I was at a meeting last night, and you texted me.
We
It's
gotta go to
7:48.
overtime.
We're in overtime. We're going to overtime.
Go to
in 15
allcity
seconds.
or allchgo.com to watch the rest of the show. It's going to be worth it, we promise.
8:48 p.m. Text from Chloe. Why is Nick Foligno destroying my life right now? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. He did everything he could to keep that series alive.
And I was keeping
2
my eye
goals
on
in
it.
one period was crazy.
I was keeping my eye on it from the meeting I was at. I'm like, oh, it's 3-1 with like 5 minutes left in the third. Like, damn. All right. Good job, Wild.
Yeah.
I know.
And then Nathan McKinnon happened.
Man.
That shot.
That was as soon as
And he just waited for Wallstedt to go down. He's like,
as soon as he
"Go on."
scored that, I was like, I know the first person who will be the most mad about that goal, our buddy Steve Peters,
Oh my
who is
God,
so
yes.
against the reverse VH system. Like I was
like the
yeah,
proper VH.
yes,
I thought
You're out there standing
he
in
was
the
going to be getting flashbacks to the Olympics.
yeah.
Because they put like the
that
side-by-side
was-
pictures of what the shot looks
That was
like.
enjoyable online last night.
Yeah.
People putting those pictures side by side and like, guess which one went in.
Yeah, man,
Yep.
that was a snipe. And then Natchez in overtime, or no, on the
Kulak.
tire, Kulak. Yeah, well, Kulak
Like,
scored it, but Natchez is the one
He
who
went around, yeah.
Great
spins
play.
around
Yeah.
patiently. Man, what an like to get that out of the Mikko Rantanen situation too. Like, that's another one of those. Like,
Yeah,
they had to
right.
trade Rantanen, and then they got Martin Natchez. It's like that worked. That worked out.
Yeah.
He's a good player. Man, the Avs are just. I think it was Mark Lazarus who said the Wild put together the best roster they've had in the history of the organization, and they're still miles behind the Avalanche.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah. When your $17 million player doesn't play like a $17 million player,
doesn't help.
That doesn't help.
It does not help.
Um,
But you also, when you have that guy, you have to pay him. You don't have to pay him $17 million.
well, probably to keep him there, they did. Yeah, it's crazy how just in these playoffs, the two teams that feel inevitable to meet in the Cup final have been so freaking dominant. Like the Avs just look unstoppable. The Canes literally have not lost in the playoffs. Like,
and I'm loving
it's
Montreal,
nuts.
and I'm loving Montreal
It's
and
a great
Buffalo.
series.
But it's like you're just pretty much skating towards your death.
Yeah.
It feels like.
Yeah, that's been a great series. Both of those teams either one of those teams reaching the conference final is a great accomplishment for where Buffalo was
Oh yeah.
this season and for where Montreal is going. But I don't see either of those teams beating the Hurricanes. Vegas and Anaheim has been a great series too. That could be decided tonight. I don't give either of those teams a chance against Colorado.
No.
No.
Carolina, though, man, Carolina, I know it was against the Blackhawks. It just really impressed me how they basically played the Chicago Wolves, and the Chicago Wolves skated circles around the Hawks because they're that well coached and their system is that sound.
Yeah.
Look, I would not put money on the Canes to win by any means, but I just don't think that it's 100% Avs and it's Avs in 4 or 5.
No,
Carolina
if we
is
get,
a pain
if we
in the
get
ass, pesky bunch.
If we get to the Carolina Colorado final that it feels like we're headed towards, it's not neither one of those teams is a heavy favorite like that. Hopefully, if the hockey gods want to give us something good, give us 7 games of that, because those teams feel very very close together in as far as talent, play style, like how it'll match up. That would be a lot of fun to watch. I'm pretty sure that's what I picked as my bracket challenge cup final. It was Colorado and Carolina. But yeah, I mean, it's been great. Playoffs are always great hockey. There's been a lot of fun games, but I think when through 2 rounds, when you see 2 teams be so dominant on opposite ends of the bracket, it's hard to just not think we're just biding our time until we have these 2 teams meet.
Yeah.
Which would be fun. I like when you get to a cup final and you feel like these are 2 of the hands down best teams left standing.
That's how it should be.
Yeah.
This is a shame that the 3 best teams in the West, Colorado, Dallas, and Minnesota,
all meet each
all beat
other.
up on each other.
Yeah.
That's a broken system. Do we have a super chat left before we wrap up? I see something sitting up there. No, we did that one. That was from Doug. Thank you, Doug. All right, we're going to be back tomorrow at 3. By the way, you mentioned Petey. Petey's going to join us Tuesday to preview the Cup final or the conference finals.
Okay.
So that'll be fun. So join us then. But, we have 2 shows before then. But just giving you a heads up now, Tuesday we're talking to Petey. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 3 on CHGO Blackhawks.
We all silly like the mayor.